In the absolute universe, light itself functions as philosophy. Different flames represent different ways of conducting yourself: restraint, logic, chaos, enlightenment. And this reveals one of the important questions in the universe: what is correct and who gets to decide it? This story began in Evergreen, a small town where everyone smiled, obeyed, and accepted the slow decay around them. Then an alien named Abin Sur arrived and upended everything. At first it looked like a massacre, that he was disintegrating the unworthy, but in reality it was more of a personality test designed to recruit new lanterns. Abin Sur was searching for soldiers in a coming war against the Black Stars and their living planet Mogo. Caught in the middle of this were Jo Mullein, Hal Jordan and John Stewart. When Jo's golden wedding ring absorbed Abin Sur's power, Evergreen was destroyed, and in the aftermath, Hal Jordan crossed a line he could never uncross. He killed Abin Sur and became bound to the Black Flame, transforming into a Black Hand. Jo eventually freed him from that influence, but the damage lingered. The Black Flame is a toxic ideology with Sinestro at the center of it on the dead planet Mogo. It strips away compassion, individuality and doubt until all that remains is obedience, masquerading as logic. That philosophy appeals to Hector Hammond, an industrialist who viewed the Evergreen disaster as an opportunity. Using the remains of Abin Sur and the black residue left behind by Hal's transformation, Hammond created Obsidian, a monstrous entity that seized control of Todd Rice. When Obsidian tracked the group down, Hal manifested a brand new pink light he described as action without thought and love without restraint. This is the exact opposite of the cold, controlled logic of the Black Flame. That moment shattered the audience's understanding of how this universe's spectrum actually works. What initially seemed like a rigid philosophical system suddenly became stranger, more emotional, and far less predictable. And then came Tomar Re. His mission is simple: destroy Mogo before it consumes everything else. The last issue acted as an interlude, showing us more of the Black Star's forces on the planet Ran and the resistance that they faced. But this issue brings the focus back on the core characters. Hal and Jo have been collected by Tomar Re and are heading off to face Mogo, leaving Cameron Chase and Simon Baz to fend for themselves. Within a few minutes of the Lantern's departure, Hammond's private military arrives. They attempt to kill Baz and Chase and retrieve Todd Rice. Unfortunately for them, this isn't the pair's first rodeo, and they easily escape with Todd Rice in tow. Meanwhile, aboard the Green Lantern, John Stewart and Guy Gardner tend to Hal Jordan and seem to be perplexed by his new powers. Likewise, the voice of Oa, that white ring that exists in the darkness, seems equally perplexed by Hal. It still follows its script, indicating that it's some sort of program. It's just the colour, emotions and names are all left as unknown. So while Jo fills the rest of them in on what happened, it's interesting to note that Stewart, the one who is supposed to be completely enlightened, is at a loss for words. This immediately brings to mind something Sinestro said in his first appearance about how their definition of the spectrum is wrong. Gold is not complete understanding, there's more going on than they think, and there's a little commentary there that those who seem to have the most confidence and claim to have all the answers likely do not. Regardless of how troubled Stewart seems, Tomar Re is unconcerned. This doesn't change his mission to kill Mogo. Now, we are given his origin in this story, and note that he and Jo have been described as anomalies, people that have taken power without understanding it, and this is presented as a bad thing. However, we know that Jo didn't deliberately take the power from Abin Sur, and the same is true of Re, even though he talks about how he stole the power. We're shown what happened when Mogo visited Re's homeworld. His mother was one of the people who had learned the power of restraint, and when faced with annihilation, she opted to give her power to her son. The fact that Re says that he stole it from her suggests that he feels guilt over his mother's sacrifice, and that this is what's fueling his campaign of vengeance against the Black Stars. Guilt is a powerful motivator, even though he is lying to himself. But this whole situation with Re is another way that the entire philosophy that supposedly defined this universe is undermined. What I take from this is that those who claim to understand the way the world works and how best to live your life know no better than you or I. Sure, there's nothing wrong with listening to other people's perspectives and experiences and taking their points of view into consideration, but ultimately, we are in control of our own lives. We decide how we live. And Tomar Re has decided to live a life of vengeance, and he doesn't care about anything else. When Stewart asks how exactly the Green Lantern is a gun, because he doesn't see any bullets, Re points to the residents of Evergreen. They will be his bullets, fired at Mogo. Now, I should be clear that I don't think he means that literally. It's not like he's going to launch a couple of thousand comatose human bodies at the surface of the planet hoping to make a dent. What I believe him to be saying is that he's going to weaponize them, similar to how Hammond had weaponized Todd Rice. And the prospect of this disgusts the human members of the party. But it's too late to start arguing, because at that exact moment the Rani and Black Stars arrive and place a hold on the Green Lantern. Stewart and Gardner have to deal with the Black Stars, but Ray holds Jo back. He states that once the stasis beam is disconnected, they'll immediately resume moving at speed, and he needs Jo for what's coming next. Here, he shows the dark side of the red flame, which stands for restraint, let's not forget. And it's not just self-restraint, holding back and taking time to make a measured decision. It's the restraint of others too. He's able to place Jo under his control, keeping her back, but she resists him. She says that the green light is higher up the pecking order than the red light, so she will be able to win, but Ray suggests that's just an Owen belief. The Black Stars believe the opposite. However, as has been the theme of this issue, Jo manages to prove his beliefs incorrect as she socks him in the mouth. It's pretty clear that Ray's plan of using the residents of Evergreen isn't going to come to pass, but how exactly do the four of them think they're going to overcome Mogo? Perhaps Hal Jordan and his mysterious new power will offer an alternative solution. Absolute Green Lantern 14 is available now from all good comic shops. I would encourage you to research your local comic shop, and if you don't have one, I'm certain there are dozens of good stores nearby that would be happy to mail you your comics. If you're opposed to the idea of cluttering up your home with comic books, then you can get this one digitally from places like Amazon as well as Neon Ichiban. Personally, I prefer physical comics, but I do like the convenience of having thousands of comic books accessible from my phone. But you do what works best for you. Cheap plug time, I'm currently running a competition where you could win one of 4 signed copies of Two-Face Trial Separation. Full details on how you can win can be found in last week's video, where I talked about a recent splurge I went on, tracking down Golden Age Two-Face comics. Check that out if you haven't already. I tried to do something a little different, and perhaps predictably, it didn't get much of a response. Next time. Early next week, I'll release a video about Batman number 9, where Vandal Savage's Tuco Squad begin their offensive against the Bat family. And later next week, probably at the weekend, it'll be time to discuss the penultimate issue of Absolute Martian Manhunter, with John, the Martian, and Despair the Zero coming face to face with the mysterious boss of the agency. Hope to see you then.